Ty, you ready? I don't want to talk about you.
I call her boo.
Oh,
I said, if I call you boo. Boo on camera. All right, everyone, welcome back. I got my miracle right here sitting beside of me. This is my love, my heart. And we are here to give our testimony on today. I just first want to share a few scriptures with you that God has led and guided me to give everyone on today. 1 Timothy 2:1, it says, I exhort therefore that first of all, supplications, prayers, intercessions, and giving of thanks be made for all men. And with that scripture, when God gave that to me, he literally gave me that like when I was sitting in the Mother's Prayer Breakfast. Like I was like, oh my goodness, Lord, that's for me and it's for today. And pretty much he was just letting me know that every prayer that I had spoke, every declaration that I gave to him for my sister and on her behalf, that he has answered that. And that not only are you supposed to intercede for your family or your friends, you even are responsible as a saint to intercede for those who you don't even know. So I encourage all of you on today to be an intercessor. It's important to be an intercessor because you do not know who is out there and what's going on within them in their lives. And God has placed us and positioned us to do a work for him. So we all have to be ready to do a work. With that being said, I'm going to give kind of like not an in-depth testimony. What about it? What you think? You want to give the whole full deal? Go ahead. All? Okay. Well, we're going to give all. We're going to just try to our best to encourage everyone with the help of the Lord. But pretty much, I'm the oldest. I know she may look like she's the oldest, but she's the baby. And I'm the oldest. I'm the mama sister. Yes. That's who I am, the mama sister. I gave my life to the Lord first. I was about 12 years old when I first gave my life to God. I stayed saved for a number amount of years. And then when I got about a teenager, I allowed the devil to trick me and I backslid. So I backslid for about 4.5 years. And then I gave my life back to Christ when I was about 18. And I thank God for blessing me to be able to do that, because so many people goes out there and backslide, and a lot of people never make it back in. And I thank God for the opportunity that he gave me grace and mercy, even though I allowed the devil to come in and trick me, but he allowed me to see myself and he allowed me to give my life back unto him. So because of that is why we're here today. And I thank God. I thank God for all that he's doing in my life. I thank God for all that he's doing in her life. And pretty much my sister is such a sweet person. I'm going to add it in there. She's sweet. She's sweet. She's so sweet. But she a tough cookie, y'all. And the devil truly had her food for years and years and years. And I thank God for blessing me to be a praying sister. I know everybody say a praying mother, and we do have plenty of praying mothers out there. And I thank God for all of them, because my mom was constantly warring on her behalf. I was, my grandmother was, but I really just, because my sister and I, we were real close, always have been. And once I got saved, because we were the type where we club together. Like she would go to the club, I would go to the club when I wasn't saved. And like if she did this, I did that, and we were kind of like Ace Coon Boom type situation. So
we just had this thing where we one do it, both do it, so we couldn't tell on each other.
Yes, we couldn't tell each other.
That's how we did it.
It was not right, but that's how we did it, because we felt like we both did it, and it was like, I know it was wrong, but with us both doing it, we weren't never telling each other. So we did everything together. And when I gave my life to God, it kind of like, it didn't disconnect us as sisters, but our relationship wasn't as close, because I was serving God and she was doing what she do when she was not, her not actually being saved. So we were like still close to a certain extent, but not as close as what we were when I wasn't saved. So pretty much I was just like, God, you can do this thing. Like for a number of years, I just prayed and I asked God, I said, God, save my sister. Save my sister, Lord. I would just pray and I was war in the spirit for her constantly. And one time I was just like, Lord, I'm praying. And I said, it feel like my prayers are in vain. I said, it's just year after year of her like constantly walking in herself, constantly walking in the same wheel and the same way. And the Lord had let me know one day that some things only come through fasting and praying. And the Lord also allowed me to know that sometimes you have to make sure that you're in position so that God can get the glory out of your life, so he can do a work not only in you but in someone else. And a lot of times God won't move until you are where you need to be. So there was a lot of, even though I was saved and I was serving God, there was a lot of places in life that God was trying to take me spiritually to get me where I need to be, so I would be able to help her be all that she could be. And I just felt like my prayers was just in vain, because I'm just like, Lord, I'm crying out to you. I am on my knees. I'm praying. I'm reading my Bible. I'm witnessing to her. I'm telling her what thus saith the Lord. And it seems like it's not working. So for all of you that's doing that and feel like it's not working, it is working. Do not never doubt God. Do not never doubt your prayers not reaching him, because they are reaching him. God is only going to move in his will, in his way, and in his timing. And I had to completely just cast all my cares and give it all to the Lord. But first, there were some things that God had to do with me and in me. And there's some actual places that God had to position me first spiritually in order for certain things to be done in my life. With that being said, once I was able to get to that point and to that place in God where I could be a true intercessor, because a lot of times some people feel like that, okay, I'm just going to pray, but it takes a little bit more than just praying. A lot of times you have to fast and pray and read your word, and a lot of times there's inner things within our heart and within our spirit that we may harbor in, that a lot of times God can't work and can't move because of those things. And it doesn't mean that your prayers are in vain. You have to give God what he deserves and what he needs in order to get a breakthrough. So I was just like, okay. So once I got to that point in that place in my life where I was able to fully commit and fully do all that I need to do for God, then he really started speaking to me concerning my sister and things to do for her. So a lot of times we could be like going down the street, in the car, going down the road, and all of a sudden God would like give me different things to pray about with her. He would never tell me to like tell her anything. He'll pretty much just tell me, he'll just allow me to like discern certain things that she's going through, or discern certain ways that she's feeling, or to pick up on stuff that she had no clue that I knew, and then the Lord would tell me to shh and pray. And I'll be like, Lord, this is deep. Like, this is really deep. And sometimes it would be kind of hard for me not to say anything off the strength of some of the things would be just so deep where I felt like I really need to talk to her, because I don't know if I should still allow her to think that no one knows what she's doing.
Sometimes having that feeling of no one knows could be like a good thing. I just don't want to know, like, you already know. You know what's going on, so you feel like nobody knows something to you, that it's okay. So it kind of like smooth it over until somebody says something to you.
And I'm just like, Lord, and he would just always tell me, no, you just have to pray. So finally I got to a point where God, after just praying for her about different things, praying to God about different things that he was allowing me to discern in the spirit about my sister, one day he led me to go to her. And this was like 2 to 3 weeks before she actually got saved. Mm-hmm. And he spoke a word. And I think that was a Sunday you were off work and you just happened to come to church. Matter of fact, it was in church when the Lord asked me to speak the word.
That wasn't it.
Was it when he was on the stairs?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay, let's back that all the way up.
Yeah.
Okay. I had went to her one day and she was actually on her stairs in her house. And I let her know, I was like, God told me to let you know that there's so much he has in store for you. And I let her, God also told me to tell her that she was living beneath her privileges. and that she was chosen to do a work and a will for him. And God also let me know to tell her that she can no longer run. Like, running is up for her. That she can't keep running, and she just really cannot stay in her will and her way. And pretty much that his will was going to be done regardless of what decision that she makes. And he also allowed me to know in the spirit too, to tell her that he was already dealing with her. And she looked at me like, she know he already dealing with me. And then she's the type of person where she's not emotional. She is just not emotional at all. And then when I actually saw tears, that was like confirmation. I was like, Lord, you working. I see the tears. I knew in the spirit that you're working, but in the physical, there's tears, and I know for a fact that you're working. And she just looked at me, and I was just like, oh, Lord, thank you, God, because I knew, because a lot of times I would witness to her, and it never really went anywhere. But at this given time, you could feel the presence of God. The presence of God was on me. The presence of God was on her, and she actually got emotional. And she's one of those ones that's just not an emotional person. All sorts of things can happen around her, but she's just not one of those emotional people. And she was like, I understand where you're coming from. And normally when I would witness to her, she would never respond. It was kind of like, I hear you, I see you, okay, you can move now, type situation like that. And this time was so different. And I guess you went to church that following Sunday, right?
Yep.
Yeah, that following Sunday. And Pastor, the spirit was so high. Oh my God. And Lord knows, I wish I could have remembered exactly what the topic was, but it was just so good.
I would have brought my Bible.
Yeah,
my book.
if I would have been prepared.
I could have told you. I write it down.
Lord, forgive us.
Yes.
That day the Spirit of God was so high.
That message was for me.
And it was for her. Even when he preached that Sunday, like, it was her. It was for her. It was like that message was designed and sent from God just for her. And as we was in the pews, the power of God fell on me while I was praising him. And he told me to speak to her again. So I turned around because I think she was actually sitting. Were you beside me or behind me?
Behind you.
Behind me. And I spoke the same word I spoke to her on the stairs that day. I said, God, let me know that it is his will. And whatever decision that you make on this given day, God's will is going to be done. And I felt God. And what was so amazing about it is that the power of God was already upon her. Because when I touched her hand, I could feel it. And it went from me to her, and my praise grew deeper, and her praise grew. It's something like, I don't know if it's a sister thing or what, but when we're in church, you okay if I share this?
No, go ahead.
When we in church and when we're praising God, even if we're not together, we feel like this tingling sensation, like everything warms up on our hands. And it makes us feel like we can, like, I told her one day, I said, I feel like I can just heal the sick. Yeah. I can take it's just like, my hands just be so warm.
It was kind of like,
and the anointing be all over me.
We were just sitting there, and I was like, dang. She was like, what? That's how we talk to this girl.
And my nickname is Tay, by the way.
I said, my hands tingling. She was like, mine's is too. I said, that's her hands.
Yeah, so what we do a lot of times, like, when we feel it.
It was like warm from the fingertips all the way to like the wrist, and it was like tingling, like, and it's still like that to this day when, if I'm praying or in church, it's just a warm tingling sensation. And I thought it was just on me, but
no. So when she told me, I was like, oh my God, I've been feeling the same thing. So one Sunday we was like, you know what, we're gonna I said, when we feel it again, I said, you grab my hand and you hold my hand and I hold your hand. And when we grabbed each other's hand, it grew. And it was like an overtake. It was amazing. It was an overtake. And I've always been the type that easily just feel the presence of God, always, ever since I was a little girl. Like, it doesn't take much for me, because when I praise him with a humble heart. And I don't let nothing distract me. Like, I always pray for my mind to be clear before I even come to the service. I anoint myself and I ask God, look, this is your day. Take over. Don't want no distractions. I'm here for a purpose, and it's not to be looking at people. Pretty much that day, I touched and I was like, oh my God, the power of God is all over her. And she was still, because she's just my boo. she's her. Like, she's in herself. And her will is never been easily broken. Never. Never. She's just a person that this is what you get, and you're getting what you get. And that's it. And I was just like, oh God, I could just feel God. I was like all over the pew. I grabbed her, and then she was just, the tears were just flowing. And then the Lord gave me a word for her, and I told her the same thing. I said, today is your day. I said that God said that to give your life unto Him, and that His will is going to be done. Whatever choice that you make, His will is going to be done, good or bad.
Y'all, guess what I did? I just still sat there.
Yes. And you know what happened?
Because I'm like, oh God, like
it was so bad where my heart dropped, because I said, Lord, if she leaves this church, because I don't know how anybody else is being dealt with God. When God talks to me and He speaks to me, it is strong, it's dominant, and He means what He says. So I act immediately. And when I saw how she was just like, and it was scary for me from a spiritual standpoint. And I was just like, Lord, I said, she could walk out that door and God knows what could take place. And I said, Jesus, please, allow her will to be broken where she would just go up there. And I even tried, I always do that. I said, come on, let's go. I grabbed her in. And she was just like, it was kind of like a break. It was like, I was like, oh Lord. So I just started praying, and the Lord told me just to let her hand go and just start praying. So I just started praying, pleading the blood. And then thank God for Pastor and his discernment. Yes, thank God for a true man of God. Thank God. He went and got her.
He sent Minister LaShawn.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, I thought he came in.
Because I had my eyes closed, because I felt if I close my eyes, I can disappear or something.
No.
So I had my eyes closed like, boom. And then all of a sudden, I felt somebody grab my hand. I said, oh, this is it.
Yes.
I said, this is it.
The Lord declared that day for her day of deliverance and breakthrough. And then when she was denying it in a way, I was just like, Lord, because I felt in my spirit, I was like, Lord, you let me know there may not be another chance. And she's kind of she's not hardening her heart. She's kind of got brick walls and gates and everything. And I'm trying to grab her come on, just yield. And she's pulling back. And I'm kind of going this way. And the Lord was like, just let go. So I let go, because He let me know that salvation is a personal walk, and you have to want Him for who He is.
Right.
And if you don't want Him for who He is, then regardless if your mom or your sister or your grandma wants Him and desires salvation for you, you have to be the one to want to do it. So I'm just like, honey, I'm just pleading the blood, so I can't plead the blood no more. And I'm praying and I'm asking God, I'm like, God. And then at that time, I got so desperate, y'all. I was like, Lord, just let Pastor come kill her. Just let Pastor come kill her. And I think the Lord just knew how my heart felt, because prior to that Sunday, I was in prayer on my knees and that night. And the Lord was just dealing with me, because I could just feel, I'm the type of person, I could feel the fact that we're just in end times, and God just be dealing with me in so many different ways. And I just cried out. I said, Lord, whatever you do, I said, do not let it be said too late. I said, please. And I did. I asked God, I said, please hold back the rapture. I said, Lord, hold it back. I said, let her get it right. I said, Jesus. I said, Lord, don't come without her being right, because I love her so much. And I said, I don't want to see her die and go to hell. Get myself together, Lord, help me. I said, I don't want to see her die and go to hell, because I'm just I know how real, Lord, I know how real hell is. I don't have to go there. A lot of people be like, well, I don't know if it's real. I don't know if it's a fairy tale. It's not a fairy tale. It's real. And if you don't get yourself together, if you don't prepare yourself, you don't get saved, live for God, you're going to go. And a lot of people think they have all this time. And I was just like, Lord, please. And if God did not answer my prayer, He heard my cry. Because I was just in the house, and I just felt a sense of emotion come upon me, because I'm looking at myself, I'm looking at my mama, and we're just constantly warring the spirit for her, and it seemed like nothing was working, and it made me feel like that it won't gonna happen. And that night, I was just screaming, and I was praying, and I was warring the spirit, and I was asking God to intervene. And a week, I think it was a week or two, she gave her life to Christ. I said, Lord, I thank you. That's why I tell people,
but all the time you do not know my story. If you see me, my face tore up. If you see me laid out. If you see me in between the pew, honey. I mean, you have to understand my situation because I've prayed and I prayed for my sister for so many years, and I asked God to allow her to see herself before it's too late. And she was one of those people where she was just constantly attaching herself to more and more things of the world, which kind of like made it even more and more harder to come out of the world. And I would see her do something new, and I'd be like, Lord, detach that. Then I see it with something else. I'm like, oh, Lord, something new. Lord, detach that too. And then she'll come with something. I'm like, oh, Jesus, please help me, God. Yes. Detach all of that, Lord. I mean, just take that, root it up from the root, burn it, do whatever you got to do. But Lord, help me.
So, as Sister Dominique would say, a babe in Christ. I thought honestly that it would be, difficult. But honestly, it's not difficult when your mind is really actually made up. The devil had my mind so wrapped up on things of the world, like my appearance, my jewelry, just little different things that would kind of have me kind of like, oh God, like wonder if I made the right decision. As we did the 50-day consecration, no. It started on the Hope Now weekend with Lady Lee, and I was texting Pastor about one of my wrongful addictions that I've been doing for several years. So I want to say maybe 8 to 9 years smoking. And it was just one of my hard addictions to and it was vapes. So I used to text him around the clock like, I just don't want to do this no more. Like, I know it's wrong, but it's just like when it's an addiction, it's an addiction. Right. It's hard. And he just said, well, if Jesus can heal the woman with the issue, the issue of blood, and then he was like, your situation is not too hard for God. He was like, just give it to him. Just give it to him. How about we start not buying any? And I'm like, you're asking for a lot. Like, you telling me like, don't drink water. You know what I'm saying? Because it's like something that I did daily, So I'm like, you know what? I'm going to see how long I can go without it, So time went past, I went like a day or two. Before you know, I was right back up at the start buying one. But then when we went to the Hope Now program weekend, and it was just so good to me. It just did something to my spirit, my heart. It's just like I was different from that weekend on coming forward. And I noticed one day, like, I ain't bought no vape in a couple of weeks. And them couple of weeks turned to a couple of months. I'm like, okay. And it went to the point where it wouldn't even come across my mind anymore. So I'm like, okay. Yes, I did it. You know what I'm saying? Like, thank you, Lord. Because it was like one of those ones that it was like, it would play like in my mind while I'm sleeping, honey. Like, go get a vape, go smoke a vape. Stuff like that. So it was like one of those hard deals. So I'm thankful for that. That's one of my testimonies, as well as, as being a young mother, I was introduced to a lot of different things. So I had picked up drinking for several years, but how the Lord did it was I had a really bad sinus infection, so I couldn't. They had my antibiotics for like 30 days, so I couldn't drink. So that right there was kind of like the lead up, because that started like in January. I got saved in February. So by the time I got saved, the 30 days was almost up. So I haven't drunk nothing since then. So that's another thing. And then as we got to the consecration, I'm like, yes, it's my first consecration. I'm hyped about it. Like, yes, I'm gonna do it. It's gonna be. Trust me, it was a task for me, but I made it. I made it. It took a lot of prayer to calling my sister, my mom, like,
we had like small little mini prayer sessions in between.
I just started noticing that as the weeks was going on, the days and weeks, that the Lord started purging me. He started purging me like I had a lot of piercings. He started purging me like with my tongue piercing. He was telling me like, leave it out. It's already out. You don't need to put it back in there. So I never put it back in there. Then he went from, I was driving down the street to, I had went home one day after work and I had my nose piercing. It was a little hoop. I took the hoop out, put a diamond in. Because that piercing, it was just, I wasn't really like ready to let go of it because I loved it. It was just so pretty. And so one day I'm driving down the street, and the Lord came to me, he told me, he was like, take it out and throw it out the window. And I'm like, threw it out the window, still carried on driving. And I got home to my mom. I'm like, Mom, guess what? You know what I'm saying? And she started praising the Lord. And then I was at home, lotioning my feet. And the Lord brought to me my ankle bracelets. Like, my ankle bracelets is like another accessory, you know. And he was like, why you got them on? Take them off. I'm like, okay. Take them off. And I thought it like, and I came to my sister, I'm thinking like when it's in the sanctification stage, like you're going to get wiped out. That's how the devil makes it seem like you ain't going to have nothing. It's going to be taken from you all at one time. But my sister said, she was like, give it time. You're going to start peeling and you ain't even going to notice. You know what I'm saying? I thought it would be so noticeable. When I get to work and all these different things about me, nobody said nothing. And I'm like, wow. Like, it was just so weird. As I started, consecration kept going, and I want to say probably like on day 43.
Yes, honey.
I had went to my bank because I had wanted to see if I could get my bank to buy my car from my leaner in Utah. So I was like, Lord, I know I don't got the best credit in the world, but I'm leaning on you. I need this, you know, because I was trying to free up some of my bills. And I walked up in there, and the bank literally gave me a loan of $18,900 for my car. Like, my bank bought my car. And I was just looking at them like, you said you was going to prove this? Like,
you serve them.
Did you're going to just sign right here? I knew what type of credit I had. Not saying I got bad credit, but, you know, getting an $18,000 loan, that takes some, yes. And I just thank God. That's one of my other testimonies as well. It was just that 50-day consecration. It was a good experience for me, and I will never forget that. Like, that's something I will always take with me. But going back to my sister, back when I was younger, we always used to, for some reason, I knew I had a calling on my life, but as you know how you got the devil here, God here, and it was kind of, I always was in a tug of war with myself, because I felt like I want to be like my friends, but I knew that I had to do the right thing, because I knew the reason how I knew I had a calling on my life was because even when I wasn't saved, God used to come to me and talk to me all the time. All the time, like when I was pregnant with my son, he came to me and told me that I was going to have a boy. So I know I was going to have a boy before I even went to the ultrasound. So, I mean, he just used to always talk to me as being a sinner. And I knew, like, this cannot be normal because my friends, the Lord don't talk to my friends. But every chance he get, he's throwing up red flags for me. And he's talking to me, like, literally talking to me. And I was just running because I just didn't want to commit. I just felt like that it was other things out here. And I realized the more that I ran, the deeper I was digging a hole for myself. I got involved into things I ain't had no business being in. You know, got dealing with people I wasn't supposed to deal with. You know, addiction, smoking, drinking, all that type of stuff. Had I would have just followed God's will, I wouldn't have ever went through none of that. So that's why I be, you know, telling my daughter, you know, just harden not your heart. Just go the right way. And that's what God said, because when you don't go the way of God, you just make your life harder. Then if you was to give me the choice now as being 32, I would have took the easy route, because that hard road that I went down, it gave me a lot of lessons. I learned a lot of things. It was the hard way, but I learned. You know, I guess it's better learn harder than easy, I guess. Well, I wish I would have learned easier. But you know, the Lord used to always just deal with me and my sister as well in dreams. Like, it used to come in twos. Like, I said, have a dream, and I come talk to my sister, and it's either be I started the dream, I had the beginning, she had the ending,
right? Or
she had the beginning, I had the ending. And we used to just bring the dream together, like, that's what I was missing. Like, it made sense now. Right. So, I mean, the Lord had always dealt with me dream-wise, and so, you know, I just feel like, and I know for a fact I always had a calling, but it's just that when you get so wrapped up in the world and your friends, you just choose to go the opposite direction. So I always knew the way, you know. So why it took me so long, because I felt like I had more time. And I felt like I had other things to do. I felt like me coming to church and knowing that I'm a believer was good enough. But it wasn't good enough, because I remember one day Pastor told me, he said, your way is not the right way. And I'm like, and I knew what he was talking about because my way was not the right way. Like I said, I felt like coming to church on my weekend off, my one day a month, because I get 1 weekend off a month. And, you know, my kids coming to every event, keeping my kids in church, I felt like that was enough, you know. But, you know, actually that it wasn't. I'm just thankful to God that, you know, that I was able to, you know, God gave me a second chance. And there's not a day that I wake up that I don't thank God for giving me a second chance, because had I would have not given my life to the Lord at that present moment, God knows what could have happened. And as being a parent, you don't want to do anything that's going to take away from your children. So I'm just grateful that I got a second chance, and ever since then I just been hungry more just to, you know, be in the will of God and just do the right things, and, you know, just stay in the Word on my days off or whenever I got a chance to come, and just, you know, stay in contact with my sisters, texting, and, you know, just when I come to church, just soaking up with the mothers and hearing their, you know, their thoughts and, you know, and discernments as well. So I'm just grateful. I'm thankful for that.
I am too. I'm so grateful. I thank God for all of you that's maybe going through a situation that we've actually gone through. Just intercede on your other close ones on behalf. Pray for them, war in the spirit for them, and know that God will work it out.
Yes, He will. Oh, I'm so happy, y'all. She saved, y'all. She saved. And that's what matters, y'all. She is saved now. So pray for that sister that's lost. Pray for that brother. Intercede for that friend. You know, don't give up. Intercession and brotherly love really does profit. You know, it really does work. And this right here is one of the best. If God knew what He was doing, this is one of the best examples to give. So don't stop believing. Keep praying. Keep interceding, because God's going to do what He said He's going to do. Yes. And if you're running, take this example. You best stop running.
Yeah.
God has, if you know He has His hand on your life, just do what He says. Because now life now is sweet, and her joy is complete. Yes. So she is saved. All right. So yeah, that concludes. This is our first FaithFully Talking takeover. You know, so shout out to y'all. But that concludes our episode 5, intercession and brotherly love. We love y'all so much. We're so happy to be back. We believe God came back strong. It was not even us, but God came. We had different plans, but God changed it around. He led differently. So we came back strong with the help of God. And I just give God the glory. And this is just the beginning, y'all. This is just, God has so much more He wants to say through His people. And I believe God, somebody's going to be saved. Somebody's going to be touched by way of one of these episodes. If this was good to you, if God touched you, if God spoke, please let us know. FaithFullyTalking.business@gmail.com. I think I got it right. So go in peace.
And then come back.
I love you guys. You didn't be there. So, because we're going to cut all of this out. So, girl. No, sorry.
She dropped the drink.
Now I got to make y'all some new paper towels for tears, because I didn't use those, you know.